Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of our Architectural Deep Dives. I'm Hari.
And I'm Kimi. Today, we're strolling down Midtown Manhattan to look at a historic building that completely revolutionized how we think about modern banks.
Yes, we are talking about 510 Fifth Avenue, originally the Manufacturers Trust Company building. Before this building opened in 1954, bank branches were basically stone fortresses. They had heavy granite columns, tiny barred windows, and dark interiors designed to feel like a medieval vault.
Exactly. It was all about showing off safety through literal thickness. But Manufacturers Trust turned that entirely on its head by building the first international-style bank in the United States. They went for ultimate transparency, literally, because the whole facade is made of massive glass sheets.
It was a bold move. The president of the bank, Horace Flanagan, wanted a design that conveyed security using modern materials. The firm Skidmore, Owings Merrill, or SOM, was reportedly hired to design this specific building, but there's a neat story behind how it actually got designed.
Oh, the internal competition. SOM actually held an office-wide contest. A junior architect named Charles Evans Hughes III submitted the winning design. Although senior architect Gordon Bunshaft and project leader William S. Brown took over to build it, it was Hughes who originally dreamed up this glass lantern.
And lantern is the perfect word. The legendary critic Louis Mumford actually compared it to a glowing lantern at night. Surrounded by skyscrapers, it received little sunlight, so they didn't need tinted glass to absorb solar heat. Instead, they used totally clear glass with just a super thin gold layer to reduce glare. But let's talk about those windows. The second-story glass panes were the largest ever made at the time, almost 10 by 22 feet, weighing 1,500 pounds each.
That's wild! Can you imagine trying to install those back in 1954? Now, Hari, there's a fascinating quirk about the building's shape. It's only 5 stories tall, which is tiny for Fifth Avenue. This wasn't just a stylistic choice. It was actually due to a legal battle of sorts. Walter J. Salmon Sr., who developed neighboring 500 Fifth Avenue, leased the air rights of a portion of this plot. So, by contract, no new building on that specific part of the site could be taller than 63 feet.
Talk about a creative constraint. That's why the penthouse on top is set back from the edge. It literally had to duck under Salmon's air rights. But despite its small size, it became an instant sensation. On its opening day, in October 1954, 15,000 people flooded in. In fact, within just 9 months, deposits at this single branch tripled. Well, who wouldn't want to walk in? It looked like a luxury store. In fact, Bunshaft openly compared the layout to a high-end retail shop. And instead of hiding the bank vault deep in a dark basement, they put it right on the ground floor, directly behind a giant glass window on Fifth Avenue. People walking by on the sidewalk could peer inside and see this massive, gleaming steel vault door.
And what a door it was! It was designed by the famous industrial designer Henry Dreyfuss and built by the Mosler Safe Company. It weighed 30 tons, yet it was so perfectly balanced on its hinges that a contemporary review claimed you could swing it open with just one finger. It was pure theater. It turned the ultimate symbol of security into a piece of public art.
Speaking of art, we have to mention Harry Bertoia. He was commissioned to create artwork for the interior. On the second floor, which was a mezzanine overlooking the ground floor, he installed a massive floating screen called Golden Arbor. It was 70 feet long, comprised of 800 intersecting brass, copper, and nickel panels. He also made a cloud-like wire sculpture that hung right over the escalators.
Eleanor Lemaire did a spectacular job with the interiors, keeping them beautifully airy. Instead of traditional walls, the second floor is supported by white marble-clad columns set far back from the windows. The concrete floors actually cantilever out, meaning they float without touching the glass facade.
But as the decades rolled on, the banking landscape changed. Manufacturers Trust merged into Manufacturers Hanover, then Chemical Bank, and eventually Chase. By 2000, Chase wanted to sell. This kicked off some crazy drama. Fashion designer Elie Tahari had a studio there, and Chase tried to evict him over a sprinkler dispute. Tahari fought back, teamed up with a union, and ended up staying as a partner when Tall Prop Equities bought it.
And then Vornado Realty Trust bought it in 2010. That's when things got really tense. Chase closed its branch and tried to take Bertoia's Golden Arbor screen with them. Vornado wanted to convert the building into generic retail space, which meant moving the escalators and cutting new doors into the glass facade. Preservationists were absolutely furious.
It became a massive legal battle. Iconic critic Ada Louise Huxtable called the proposed retail conversion a travesty. The World Monuments Fund even put the building on its watch list of endangered sites. Luckily, a coalition of preservation groups sued, leading to a settlement in 2012. Although the settlement didn't actually halt the retail conversion, which eventually went ahead with Joe Fresh taking over the space, it did ensure the Bertoia artwork was brought back on indefinite loan. Additionally, SOM, who was already working on the project, was able to proceed with a gorgeous, respectful restoration that kept the original luminous ceilings and columns.
It's a fantastic example of adaptive reuse. Over the years, tenants like Joe Fresh and the North Face occupied the space, and soon Uniqlo is taking over. It's incredible how a building designed as a bank in 1954 transitioned so smoothly into a 21st century retail hub, all while maintaining its architectural soul.
It really proved that great design is timeless. From Mumford's glowing lantern to the glass-sheathed supermarket of dollars mentioned in the AIA guide, 510 Fifth Avenue remains a masterpiece of the international style.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's architectural journey. We hope you enjoyed learning about this mid-century gem as much as we did.
Absolutely. Until next time, keep your eyes on the skyline and always stay curious.
This episode is based on the Wikipedia article Manufacturers Trust Company Building, which is available under the Creative Commons Attribution Share-alike license. This podcast was crafted using artificial intelligence.